Hey fellas, welcome to my Lord Knossos guide. So pretty much Lord Knossos he's a bruiser. He's one of the most basic heroes in the game. His health is 2500 and each of those notches at the bottom represents about 500 health. When he exits combat, he's got a 5-second delay on when he starts to regain his health back, and he'll regain it at about 133 per second. He has a stamina regen delay of about 1 second. His front armor is 15 and his back armor is 10. So whenever he takes damage from the front, he has 15 armor, which means it's a solid 15% damage reduction and then 10% damage reduction from the back. Like I said before, he's a very basic hero, but he's still really good. He can deal a lot of damage. He's got some decent sustain because of his health pool. When you build him the right way, he can deal a lot of damage, which is how I like to build him. You don't really build him any other way. He kind of functions almost kind of like an assassin, where you lock one person down and go to town on them. His basic attack is essentially a 4-hit combo. The first 3 hits deal about 85 damage, and then the last hit, in my testing I found it dealt about 153, which is kind of a weird number. That's what it came out to. And this is dealing damage to something with no armor. When you're doing the combo, you can cycle through the first 3 hits, and even if you don't hit the first 3, if you land on the last one, it'll still do the bonus damage. So you don't have to do the combo fully to get all of the bonus damage at the last hit. If you land a full 4-hit combo without any skill points into any of your abilities, it'll deal around 400 damage. His right click is called Chuck, which when you first spawn in, it'll just throw a spear. It's got a pretty short cooldown of like 1.5 seconds, and it just deals a flat amount of damage. When you're up close, it'll deal about 150 damage, and when you're at a distance, it kind of scales down to about 120. When you throw it, it throws in like an arc. If you're at a distance, you're gonna have to aim it and account for that arc. His Q is pretty simple. He dashes forward and it'll interrupt and deal 110 damage to whoever he hits. Interrupt means it'll pretty much stop anything that character's doing. If they're like channeling an ability, they'll stop it. So if they're charging up like an auto attack and you hit them with their Q, it'll stop it. His E is called Bull Rush, and there's no solid way that I could test this except using a timer, and in my testing I found that it'll pretty much double your movement speed, and it does it if you don't have any skill points in. It'll do it for 5 seconds. The movement speed does not stack with sprinting. Sprinting usually doubles your base movement speed, and that stays true when that's active. It won't double the movement speed given from Bull Rush. It will just double your base movement speed still. You'll still be going faster, but it won't double your base movement speed plus the Bull Rush movement speed. His ult is called Labyrinth, and it interrupts every one hit as well as applies a bleed and cracks armor. And cracking armor pretty much it's just a armor reduction for a few seconds, and if you use it at level 1, it'll deal 200, and then each level beyond that it'll deal 100 more. So at level 2 300, and at level 3 400. So how I like to build him is I like to build him pretty much straight up damage, except for his alt build. So for his normal left click, what I like to do is I like to go Bruiser, which is the left upgrade, and then Seeing Red, which is the right upgrade. For his right click, which is Chuck, I like to go Taurus, which is right, and then Immobilizing Taurus, which is left. Pretty much what this does, it allows you to lock people down. It's an AoE crowd control, especially once you get the Immobilizing Taurus one. It'll cripple people, which means their jump height is halved and they move slower. And Knossos is pretty fast, so you'll be able to catch up to them if they're far away. And you can pair that with, if you're sprinting and you use your left click, you'll do this leap. It uses a little bit of stamina, but it gives you a lot of extra distance. So if you're trying to make a jump that you're not going to quite make, you can left click while you have shift down. You'll go a bit farther. You'll probably make it. It's got a pretty considerable distance on it. And then for Labyrinth, I like to go Bloody Minded and Lifeline, so it's going to be right then left. And this pretty much gives you your sustain. I don't like to build any other sustain on him because it doesn't really do that much on the other abilities. And just be careful because most of the sustain doesn't really last that much in combat. What you want to do is you want to get in, you want to do your damage, and when you're low, you want to leap out. And with this, it'll make it so you can get your health back faster and jump in again. And then for Gore, I like to go Bulldoze and Initiating Gore, which are both the right. I don't really go Bulldoze. For Bulldoze, I mainly do it for Initiating Gore because Bulldoze pretty much, the extra damage is nice, but Initiating Gore will make it so if you hit somebody above 75% health, you'll get a damage buff, so that's another damage buff added, and they all stack together percent wise. And then Bull Rush is pretty much your main thing that you want to focus on. I go Raging Bull and Mighty Yop, and pretty much what it does is while it's active, you'll also get a damage buff, and when you activate it, everybody around you also gets the movement speed buff, and you'll get focus for everybody who it affects. And then for your passive, I go Fury because Bull Rush is really important, and with Fury you're allowed to do it for longer. The other ones really aren't that good anyway. They just affect Gore, and then Chuck really doesn't do that much damage. The other one makes it so it'll do more damage and ignore armor. If you're going a completely different build, maybe that'd be viable, but for this you always want to go Fury. And so at his full build, if you have your damage modifiers on, you'll do 517 with both modifiers if you land a full combo, and getting you a kill with Seeing Red will give you double damage. So if you have Seeing Red active, you're going to be doing about 1,000 damage per combo, which is pretty much as broken as it sounds. With Chuck fully upgraded, it'll deal 110 damage, and it scales down very slightly with range to about 100. And you're not really using it for its damage anyway, you're using for the crowd control. You always want to just, whoever you're chasing down, you want to land that on them. It'll make it a lot easier for you to get up to them, and they won't be able to really get away. Your E, like I said before, you want to use that, you want to pop it right when you get into a fight, because that's going to give you just that flat extra damage. And then with Fury, it's going to make it last for an extra 8 seconds, so it's going to be active for a lot of the fight. You'll be able to get a kill, and by the time the 8 seconds are up, you'll probably have Seeing Red active, which should give you double damage. Your Q, like I said, you don't really use it for the damage, but if you land both of the hits for both those, it'll deal about 350 damage, and then it'll give you that flat AD increase. So yeah, that's about all the stats I got for this guy. You pretty much want to play him like an assassin, where you don't have to play him really as carefully as an assassin, where you pick people off, but when you jump into a team fight, you really want to focus one person down, because you want to be comboing. Because when you get out of your combo, if people start to CC you really hard, it's kind of over for you, because what happens is when your bruiser becomes active with the 4-hit combo, that's pretty much when your combo starts, and there's a cooldown on that. So if people stop your combo, it kind of sucks because it takes a while for you to get started, and by that time you're probably pretty low health and you're gonna die most likely. But yeah, that's pretty much my guide for Lord Knossos. I like him, he's probably my favorite so far, and I'll probably be doing another guide tomorrow. I'm not sure who it'll be on yet, but yeah, keep an eye out for that. So I'll catch you later. Bye.